Alright, it's been a bit since I've done a vehicle breakdown, so let's go and do one of the classics. The Imperial 1 Star Destroyer. So the Imperial 1 is the very first Star Destroyer you ever see in Star Wars, also known as the second ship you see. Due to inconsistencies in sourcing, we know that the Imperial Star Destroyer has various types of heavy turbo lasers, medium turbo lasers, heavy ion cannons, and medium ion cannons, but the exact number and disposition tend to change a bit from telling to telling. That said, we do know that this means the Star Destroyer is meant to brawl with other heavy capital ships. It is not meant for anti-starfighter duty. It is meant to take out cruisers. Fortunately for the Imperial one, it does carry around its own complement of fighters and bombers, meaning that it isn't wholly defenseless against enemy fighters and bombers, or smaller craft. In addition to that, it also carries around what's functionally an army. That's not a joke, it has enough AT-ATs to assault a planet on its own, as well as all of these surrounding support vehicles and plenty of stormtroopers to go along with that. Now, what all of this various armament means is that one Imperial Star Destroyer can take on any target, whether it is a ground assault, anti-piracy duties, or assaulting an enemy fleet. A Star Destroyer is a viable option. The Empire can just print out as many as it needs and just send them where it wants to. And quite frankly, this was the Imperial strategy. Just print a ton of Star Destroyers and send them out. And it worked, right up until it didn't. So the major drawback of a Star Destroyer is the fact that it is so large. See, Star Destroyers are not minor commitments to an area. They are not a couple of frigates. They are a capital ship, and a big one at that. The Imperial one as the baseline is no exception. The deployment of a Star Destroyer is both a statement and an effort. Sure, it locks down the system it's in, but due to the sheer level of resources needed to keep them afloat, you can only deploy so many. There will always be gaps in your defenses. And these gaps would be readily exploited by rebel forces who just pointedly refuse to fight them. Now, does this mean that the Star Destroyer is a bad ship? No, by no means is the Star Destroyer anywhere close to a bad ship. It is an amazing craft. When a Star Destroyer engages in its primary role of crushing enemy capital ships or assaulting enemy planets, there is no equal. But any military which relies upon a single plan will never succeed. There is no plan that will work for every scenario. And by attempting to do this with Star Destroyers, the Empire effectively doomed itself to letting rebel forces act as they pleased in any system that didn't have a Star Destroyer. So how can this be resolved? Well, give the Star Destroyer an actual fleet. Rather than making a fleet be 3 Star Destroyers in one place, have the fleet be 1 Star Destroyer as its center, with various frigates and support craft surrounding it. The Star Destroyer is an amazing capital ship. It can act as the center of most fleets. It can support any operation. It just can't do them all alone. And in this regard, when the rebels would capture one, they utilized them far better, for they would put them in fleets where there are other ships. And if for some reason you do get your hands on a Star Destroyer, I'd recommend you do just that. Build a fleet around this brawler of a ship. It is meant to take and dish punishment. So let it, but make sure you cover its flanks. And with that, y'all have a good night.